Shalom, 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 shalom. As always, first I want to give all the praises and the glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and to His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to our apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect, brothers and sisters of the house of Israel. Many are called, few are chosen. Yahweh is the name of the Most High God. Yahweh Shai is the name of the Son. So I just kind of want to do a quick video on this news that kind of came out early this morning, late last night, early this morning. Biden allows Ukraine to strike inside Russia with missiles. Biden allows Ukraine to strike inside Russia with missiles. And these are long-range missiles, apparently. So that's a news article there. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly play you a news clip of what's going on. I've put a couple of news clips together. I'm just going to let it play out so you can listen to yourself to what's actually happening and then we're going to bring out some scriptures, basically. But this is what's going on. These are the what they call the Army tactical missiles. They call them the ATACMS or the ATACMS, which can reach up to 300 kilometers. And they're tough to intercept due to their high speed. All right. So Biden's given the green light, and if you've got any sense, you know that he's done this for two reasons. One, to bring Donald Trump's presidency into chaos, and for two, because he's been told by his handlers that we need to get us closer to World War III as possible before Donald Trump comes into power, basically, because the trajectory of everything that's going on is ultimately going to lead us to the War of Armageddon, World War III, the war that's going to have America come head to head with Russia. So I'm going to just quickly play this news clip here. There's a couple of news clips I put together. Just going to let it play out, and then we'll bring out some scriptures, right? Hold on. Let's just get this news clip to play. Let me do this. Let me remove it. 1 second. And we're going to bring it back in again. So we can add it in again. 1 second.
Reported this evening that President Biden has lifted restrictions on Ukraine using US weapons to strike deeper inside Russia. President Zelensky has been pushing Western allies to allow his forces to use the missiles. It's believed the decision could help shift momentum in the conflict.
In the updated version of the document, aggression against Russia by any non-nuclear state, but with the support of a nuclear state, is proposed to be considered as their joint attack on Russia. Russia will also consider the possibility of using nuclear weapons when receiving reliable information about a massive launch of means of aerospace attack and their crossing of our state border. This includes strategic and tactical aircraft, as well as cruise missiles and drones, hypersonic and other delivery vehicles. Russia reserves the right to use nuclear weapons in case of aggression, including if the enemy, using conventional weapons, poses a critical threat.
The plan to strengthen Ukraine is the Victory Plan, which I presented to our partners. One of its key points is long-range capabilities for our army. Today, there's a lot of talk in the media about us receiving permission for respective actions. But strikes are not carried out with words. Such things are not announced. Missiles will speak for themselves. They certainly will.
U.S. President Joe Biden has authorized Ukraine to use U.S.-supplied long-range missiles for strikes deep inside Russia. This major policy shift comes after months of requests by Ukraine and just 2 months before President-elect Donald Trump takes office. Trump has criticized Biden's strong support for Ukraine.
Deborah, it is a significant shift. It's something that President Zelensky has been calling for a long time.
It's a hugely important moment and a massive boost for the Ukrainians. Like you said, the Ukrainian president has been lobbying hard with the United States to try to get the US president to lift restrictions specifically on long-range missiles after months of deliberating over whether or not he was going to allow the Ukrainians to use these long-range army tactical missile systems. They are ballistic missiles launched from ground-based systems against targets inside Russia, something that the Americans seem to have been hesitant to allow, concerned that it might then prompt an escalatory response by Russia. But according to reports in the New York Times, the sudden decision by the North Koreans to join Russian forces on the battlefield at the moment inside Russia, fighting against Ukrainian troops that have seized parts of the Kursk region, that is the trigger for this decision by the United States. And now all eyes surely are going to be on other allies of Ukraine, the UK, for example, which has for a long time also been asked by the Ukrainians to allow its forces to use their Storm Shadow cruise missiles against targets inside Russia. The British have been more forward-leaning, more seemingly willing to allow the Ukrainians to use these weapons, but had been waiting for a decision by the United States. Now that seems to have come.
Nevertheless, this is a stark warning to the West, the latest in a slew of such. Previously, Vladimir Putin had come out and said that if advanced Western missiles with great ranges are supplied to Ukraine and used against Russia for strikes deep into Russian territory, then those countries, the United States perhaps, or Great Britain or France, which supply Ukraine with extended range missiles, that they will be complicit in an attack on Russia. Russia has brushed off their arguments that they merely hand these weapons over. Russia says it has evidence, and there is no way that Ukraine can plan, launch and use these weapons without without NATO troops being involved, without NATO technical staff being involved, without NATO intelligence and NATO satellites being involved. But this comes at a dangerous time, at a time when many Western leaders are saying, ignore Putin and Russia's warnings, supply Ukraine with these missiles, and undoubtedly, even though they won't change anything, undoubtedly, Ukraine, they believe, will be able to resist Russia further. An argument that both military experts and the Russian government have said is in itself senseless.
We are seeing celebratory announcements about this report of ATACMS, the permission to use ATACMS. We are already seeing people releasing maps of exactly how far into Russia these ATACMS can reach. Now, of course, the current reports seem to indicate that the initial permission would be for Kursk, but these maps already show the range across Russia. And also, military bloggers here are analyzing that could this be Biden's attempt to torpedo any effort by the Trump administration to bring a peace that is forced not on Kyiv's terms but on Moscow's. And of course they believe that in the next 2 months Ukraine could do a lot with these permissions. It does seem that US officials think, however, that this will not change the course of the war, at least according to the reports that we are seeing on US media.
So that's where we're at. They've been given the green light by the US to fire these long-range missiles into Russia, meaning they could hit probably as far as Moscow, St. Petersburg, right? Certain major cities within Russia. You've got Russia. Remember, Russia's the biggest country in the world, all right? So how far they say those missiles can reach, up to 300 kilometers. That's the distance that they can go, So, they, like I said, they can reach St. Petersburg, Staropol. There are many places that they could target, and whether they'll target Moscow, I don't know. We'll see. Or could it just be the Kursk region? We'll see. Because Russia is a very big country. Russia is, as I said, Russia is the biggest country in the world. All right. There's no bigger country in the world than Russia. So let's see if we can get a map. But we'll just quickly show you what we're dealing with here. Western Russia, plain, Central Siberia. No, I don't think they'll get as far as Siberia. Probably, yeah. There's many targets they could hit, right? But let's go to this headline here that we was looking at earlier. So Biden's allowing this to go ahead, right? To strike inside Russia with missiles, as you can see here. All right, he's given the green light for this to happen. As it says here, U.S. President Joe Biden has given the green light for Ukraine to use long-range missiles supplied by the U.S. to strike Russia, U.S. officials say. All right, they call them the Army Tactical Missile Systems. These are the missiles that they're referring to here. Now, already there's a division in Europe, all right, regarding this. And like I say, I think Biden's putting two fingers up to Trump because he wants his presidency to come in with as much issues and problems as possible. So it says here, so this is Politico. So it says Hungary slams Joe Biden's approval for Ukraine to hit Russia with American weapons. So there's already a division within the European Union, right, within the beast, regarding these missiles, and the American presidency government given the Ukrainians the green light to strike those, to fire those missiles into Russia to as far as they can go, 300 kilometers, all right, which is about just under 200 miles. So it says Prime Minister Viktor Orban's top diplomat says White House decision could expand the Ukraine war to a global scale. And that's ultimately, this is what's going to happen from all of this. All of this we're going to see, all of these events that we see going on is going to expand it all into a global scale, all right, as we know. It says Hungary's foreign minister on Monday lambasted the US for authorizing Ukraine to strike targets inside Russia using American-supplied long-range missiles. All right. Prime Minister Viktor Orban's top diplomat said Donald Trump's US election victory has created a new reality in which the people are calling for peace, but not the paymasters. The paymasters that control the Biden administration, they don't want peace. They want this war to be a certain position where they don't want no place of negotiation, basically. All right. So it says there, the people are calling for peace instead of what Budapest, which maintains ties to Moscow, sees as the escalation of war. It says the pro-war mainstream has launched a final desperate attack on the new reality. Peter Zijato wrote in Facebook posts, in their final desperation, talking about the Biden administration, these pro-war forces do not even seem to shy away from the worst, expanding the war in Ukraine to a global scale. And that's what we could see happen, right? This war, as we know, ultimately it's going to expand to a global scale, but we know where is it going to take place? Where is it going to take place? In the Middle East. But these are all acts that are going to cause the two nations to be further and further apart from each other, all right? Now, like I said, Russia is the biggest country in the West, in the world, should I say? Sorry, not in the West, just in the world, and there's plenty of. Let's just get this up here. So this is what we are seeing. So this is Russia here. Moscow's here. Rostov, Volgograd. All right. St. Petersburg, Novgorod, Kazan. So I don't know. As I said, 300 kilometers. Russia is the biggest country in the world. So going by this is the thing. This is 350 kilometers, this marker here. So they obviously won't get as far as, that's Moscow. So they could get as far as Moscow, depending where they are. Looking at this, can you see this measurement here? This is a physical measurement. This is saying this is 350 kilometers, right? From here to here, which is roughly about 1.5 centimeters, all right? And those missiles can go as far as 350 kilometers. So they could reach Moscow from Ukraine. They can't reach St. Petersburg because that's going all the way up there. But they could definitely reach Rostov. They can reach Volgograd. Yeah, and I mean, we're going to see. We're going to see, because Putin has already said that if they fire those missiles into Russia, then the Russians will target NATO, because they will require NATO to guide those missiles and to help them target, because they're what do you call it? They're guided missiles, right? They're ballistic long-range guided missiles. They would need to use NATO's satellites and NATO military to fire those missiles, because they said they're complicated missile systems, and they would need the satellites, because they're guided missiles, to guide the missiles and to find the target, basically. All right. So this is why the Russians have said, look, if they fire those missiles into Russia, then as far as Russia's concerned, what we're going to do, we're going to target, the Russians say they will target NATO countries, right? So you've got Poland's a NATO country here, Germany, NATO, Lithuania, NATO, Finland recently joined NATO, right? Estonia, NATO, Sweden, NATO, Norway, NATO, all on the Russian border, literally. All right. We know Turkey is a NATO country, but we know Russia won't target Turkey, because Turkey ultimately is going to be a part of the coalition of countries that are going to band together with the Russians to come up against NATO, America, Israel, and their allies in the War of Armageddon in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which is the Middle East. But all of these countries here, right, United Kingdom, NATO countries, these are all possible targets, because for those missiles to be fired and guided into Russia, they're going to require satellites, which are going to be out here, the satellite systems out in space, right, to guide those missiles to their targets, because they are guided missiles. So if that happens, because they're very bold-faced, we know the Ukrainians are totally controlled by the US and by NATO, basically. But if that happens, if they fire those missiles, because I know Russia fired a lot of missiles last night, and they downed a lot of Ukrainian power supply and their utilities and electric and all of that sort of things to basically cause blackouts. And right now, Ukraine is under curfew. They can only use so much electricity per day, and it is, as you all should know, we're coming into the winter. All right, this is end of November, December. We are coming into these winter cold freezing months. So Russia has destroyed a lot of their utility systems over the past few weeks. Their power supply, gas supply, refineries, all of those places where they're able to because they need energy to make weapons, right? But most of their weapons, they're imported. But this is why, when we go to Isaiah 13, as I said, the more and more you read Isaiah 13, the more you understand that this is talking about the United States of America and its ultimate end, because they're going to continue to poke the bear until the bear reaches a point of no return. This is why it's called the burden of Babylon, which is the United States of America. All right. This is another. America is symbolically known as Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon. All right. One of the two names that the Bible refers to. America is also symbolically known as Edom and Idumea in the Bible, symbolically known as Assyria in certain places. America is spiritually known as Egypt and Sodom. So these are all different names for the United States and America. And this is why Isaiah said it's the burden of Babylon. It's going to be a burden when once the Russians turn on America, once we hit that war in the Middle East, because like I say, whatever happens from here, the catalyst ultimately is going to be the war in the Middle East. Something's going to happen in the Middle East, or what's going to draw Russia into the Middle East, because maybe the Russians attack American bases in the Middle East first, like American bases that are based, say, in Saudi Arabia, in Qatar, because remember they've got loads of military bases in the Middle East, right? The Americans, right? They've got loads of. I don't know if they got any around. Let's just see. I'm trying to see. They've got loads of bases in the Middle East. The US. And I know they've got. I'm trying to think if they've got any that are near Russia. Goes. Nope. Let's see. 1 second. Let's see. Right. So, if we. So these are all potential targets, right? I'm going to go back to Isaiah, but I just want to quickly show you. So these are potential targets. So these are the US bases that are near Russia, all right? As you can see how big Russia is, right? Russia eats up America, right? When it comes to size, all right? Oh, what happened there? Sorry. There we go. All right, so all of these bases, and this is what I said, Russia could just strike the bases that are in the Middle East. Maybe that's what draws them into the war in the Middle East, all right? But as we ultimately know, we know Israel will be the catalyst of that war with Iran, basically. So these are bases that the Russians can strike at, right? In the Middle East, Egypt. There's one down here in Somalia. Those are Ethiopia. They got bases here. That's Saudi Arabia. Those are the bases in Saudi Arabia. They got bases in Turkey. These are bases here. Is it Kazakhstan? Yeah, Kazakhstan. They got bases here. Poland, Germany, France, Italy. So all of these bases are targets, all right, that Russia can strike, because Russia said, look, we will retaliate at NATO allies if they allow this, if they actually go ahead and do this. Now, the whole news is that they are going to go ahead and do this. But like I said, it makes you understand when you go back to Isaiah 13, and it talks about the burden of Babylon. That's the burden of Babylon, right? The things that Babylon is doing concerning Gog, the land of Magog, which is the Russians, all right, is what they're doing basically as such, right? So kind of, when we read through this here, it says, lift up a banner upon the high mountains, exalt the voice upon them, shake their hand that they may go into the gates of the nobles. And this is what we are doing. We're lifting up the banner on the high mountains. We're exalting our voice by prophesying and breaking down the scriptures, making you understand the prophecies about Babylon, about the United States of America. What do these prophecies say? What does the Bible say regarding Babylon the Great, the United States of America, basically? And this is a prophecy that leads to the Russians coming up against America in the Bible, right? Quite clearly see, all right? And it says here, I have commanded my sanctified ones. I've also called on my mighty ones for mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness, all right? The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of the nations gathered together. And this is what we're hearing. There's a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of the nations that are gathering together. So the nations are gathering together. You got the North Koreans making a military pact with the Russians, the Iranians making a military pact with the Russians. China and Russia have never been more closer than in any time in their history that we see today. right? They are making it. The nations are making a tumultuous noise. We see the NATO allies making a tumultuous noise. We see what's going on here with the what do you call it, with the Hungarians, the EU, all right, the EU here, which we just read, was saying Hungary's foreign minister on Monday lambasted the US for authorizing Ukraine to strike targets inside Russia using American supplied long-range missiles. So we can see the split developing amongst the EU nations, which is the beast that the Bible speaks of. And remember, when you go into Revelation 17, it talks about how the beast shall burn the whore. The whore is America. So we can see the split within the European Union, which ultimately is going to lead to a split between them and the US, because this is a European Union and a NATO member that's lambasting the US for authorizing this, right? Turkey has done the same thing. Turkey has lambasted the US for allowing the Ukrainians to do it. Turkey has broken all ties with Israel for America's backing of the war in Gaza, all right? They've broken all ties with Israel, the Turks, because of America's backing the Israelis in their destruction of Gaza, and Turkey is a NATO member. So we can see NATO members divided with the head of NATO, America, regarding their antics that they're doing, whether it's in Ukraine or whether it's in Israel, because the Turks are basically saying the same thing about the Americans. They're lambasting the US for their backing of the Israelis, the small hats in their destruction and their murder spree that the Israelis are doing in Gaza, basically. So we can see all of these things bubbling up. And this is why I say everything that we are doing is about prophecy. Everything that we are seeing is about prophecy. So we can see there's a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord Yahweh of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. So the Lord Yahweh of hosts is mustering the hosts to the battle, right? Let me just see, hold on. So these nations, right? These nations, where is it? I just want to quickly show you this. I don't want to say, oh, he's talking all of this stuff, but he's not showing us any evidence, right? But let me just show you. I was talking about Turkey. Yeah, see, Turkey cuts all ties with Israel, President Erdogan confirms. The agreement reflects the growing global demand of sustainable agricultural practices, with sulfur playing a vital role in soil management and nutrient value. It says here, Turkey has officially severed all diplomatic relations with Israel. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan confirmed on Wednesday. The announcement made during a flight back from his visit to Saudi Arabia and Azerbaijan marks a significant shift in the country's foreign policy. The government of the Republic of Turkey, under my leadership, has decided to cut all ties with Israel, and we will maintain this stance moving forward, Erdogan told reporters abroad his plane. The decision comes after Turkey imposed a trade embargo on Israel earlier this year, further straining relations between the two nations. However, despite the trade sanctions, diplomatic missions in Tel Aviv and Ankara have remained open, albeit under heightened tensions. So Turkey's broke all ties with Israel. Israel's been totally backed by Babylon the Great, the United States of America. So we can see this tumultuous noise, all right? When it says there, the Lord of hosts mustereth the host of the battle, all right? And this is what we are seeing. He is mustering the host of the battle. These nations, the Lord is rousing up all of these nations in preparation for the war of all wars that's going to take place in the valley of Jehoshaphat. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord Yahweh and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. So what is the weapons of the Most High's indignation? Those are ultimately the intercontinental ballistic missiles, which is going to be the end game for the United States of America, as we should all know by now. That is what's going to be used to begin the destruction of America. But all of these things that we see taking place now is what's going to lead us to this. The war in Gaza, the war in Ukraine, what's going on. the war, everything that's going on between the Ukrainians and the Russians, the Israelis and the Palestinians, and America is in the heart of all of this matter. America is in the heart of all of what we see going on. America's playing a major part in everything that we see going on, basically. This is what America is literally like say he's the puppet master for what's going on, because the Israelis know they're only allowed to do what they're doing because America is literally funding them, arming them, and turning a blind eye to any mass murders or killings that they're doing. The same thing with the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians are being funded and armed by America. So Babylon is in the midst of this. So the weapons of the Most High's indignation to destroy the whole land is the intercontinental ballistic missiles. That land, the whole land here, is talking about Babylon the Great, the United States of America. This is why when you go to verse 6, the subheading is what? Judgment on the day of the Lord. Because it's on the day of the Lord is when those intercontinental ballistic missiles are going to be fired. It's going to be the same day that Yahushua, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, is going to come and deliver the elect of the children of Israel from out of Babylon the Great, from that destruction, and then gather them from the four corners of the world. So it says, howl ye, for the day of the Lord Yahweh is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Are they not reading these scriptures? See, Christians do not understand the prophetic prophecies of the Bible, all right? They do not understand truly what's going on. They read the Bible like it's a Thingy Bob Bloom novel, like a love novel. The Lord is getting ready. Jacob's trouble is going to lead us to the war of Armageddon, because before we get to the war of Armageddon, we're going to be going through great tribulation. The children of Israel are going to be going through great tribulation, great persecution. During that time, the mark of the beast, the microchip, would have gone global. So some type of 9/11 event or Black Swan event, major, you can see some type of major national security or global security event is going to happen, where it's going to cause them to say that the massive need to be chipped, to be identified, and so that we know who is doing what, where, and when, and so forth, and that. Because remember, we're getting to a stage where they're actually saying to all of us, you have to decide whose side you're on. Are you on the side of Babylon the Great? Or are you on the side of the Russians? All right, the other nations, the ones that they call the regimes, the rogue nations, the axis of evil, they refer to them as. We're on the side of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. As we always tell you, we ain't got no dog in this fight. We're the prophets telling you what's going to happen, how it's going to happen. All right, and what we are fighting for ultimately is our own salvation and our own deliverance. All right, and the taking down of Babylon the Great. It says, therefore shall their hands be faint, every man's heart shall melt. And that's what's going to happen. And I love it when I see the media cheerleading the American government to do these things. You can see the glee in the face of the Western media when they heard that America is going to allow Ukraine to use their long-range ballistic missiles to hit targets further into Russia, so forth and so on. You can see the glee in the face of the Western media, all right? Especially these Edomites, all right? You can see the glee in their faces. And it's like, for me, I'm like, I love it, because the day I pray in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, I'm here to see their pride. I want to see their hands be faint and every man's heart shall melt. And that's the day that I'm waiting to see. And they shall be afraid. This is the time that I want to be there. I pray that I'm alive. I'm healthy. I'm here to witness when they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrow shall take hold of them. This is the day I'm looking for. See, right now, it's the pride, the glee and the pride on their face, the arrogancy, right, in their face, the lofty looks on their faces, because they can't wait for Ukraine to do, because they have this so much hatred for Russia. Because you see, the reason why these Edomites in the West hate Russia, because Russia's not signed up to their LGBTQ++, transgender, this gender, that gender, so-called democracy program that they are pushing. So Esau is coming up against Esau. That's why the scripture says, if Satan shall come up against Satan, I'm sure a brother put it up there on the comment board. See if I can quickly find it. It said, if Satan can rise against Satan, how can his kingdom stand? And that's ultimately what we are seeing here. The Edomites of the east are ultimately going to come up against the Edomites of the west. So it says here, yeah, here it is. We'll put it up here. Shalom to you, James Tazadakda ban Yahawada. Matthew 25 and 25. It says, and Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And the house of Esau is divided. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? And that's what we are seeing. They are divided, completely divided. The Edomites of the east are completely divided with the Edomites of the west, right? And this is exactly what we are seeing. So I pray that I'm there to see the day the Lord said they shall be afraid. They're going to be afraid when this takes place. Pangs and sorrows shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Well, praises to Yahweh Shem Yahushua Bashem Rakah Kodash. You see, because all of these events are going to lead us to this day, the judgment on the day of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. All of these events we see taking place around the world. Lord willing, it happens within the next year, 2 years. I mean, we can't give you an exact time. All right, it could be 5 years, 6 years, 4 years. We don't know, but me, I believe in the spirit. Before the year 2030, this is going to be all over. Before the year 2030, this is going to be all over, and that's how I feel in the spirit. And I look at these next 2 years as being pivotal in what's going to take place, especially like how America's looking to celebrate its 250th year of its being, basically, of its creation in the year 2026, which is what, literally a year away, because we're coming to the end of in 1 month's time. In 6 weeks' time, we're going to be in the year 2025. So in the following year after that, we'll be in the year 2026, when America will be looking to celebrate its July the 4th, 250th year existence. So that's roughly 18 months away. So maybe this all happens within 18 months, or we reach the 18 months of its 250th year celebration, and then boom. So they shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Behold, the day of the Lord Yahweh cometh, cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate. What land is that? The United States of America. Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon, aka Edom, aka Idumea, spiritually known as Sodom and Egypt. That's the land of the free and the brave. And he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it, because only the elect of the children of Israel, only the elect Hebrew Israelites are going to be delivered out of Babylon the Great. Everyone else in America is going to go up in smoke. The wicked 2/3 of Israel are going to go up in smoke. All of the other nations are going to go up in smoke. In America, Babylon the Great. The Lord said he's going to destroy the sinners thereof. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. I said this before. This could just be from the Lord's chariot when he comes to deliver the elect in the midst of this destruction. It could be the Lord's chariot that blocks the sun. It says, the sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. This could be the Lord's chariot. Because remember, the sun rises in the east. So it could be, the sun could be rising in the east in New York, while on the west coast, which is 3 hours behind, the moon could still be out. So it could be something that takes place 6 a.m. in the morning when the sun is just rising on a spring day. The moon is still out. It's still nighttime on the west coast. The Yahushai's chariot, we don't know how big it is, could be the whole size of America. That's what could block the whole light. That's what could. It says, for the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. Because the Lord Yahushai has to come in the midst of this wrath and fierce anger when these missiles are being fired to lay the land desolate, which is America, to deliver the elect. So it could be the Lord's chariot that causes the stars of heaven and the constellation thereof to not give its light, and the sun shall be darkened going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. It says, and I will punish the world for their evil. It's going to be a global event. Don't think you wicked in your other countries around the world are going to get away, are going to somehow sneak out through the side door. The Lord said he's going to punish the world for their evil. The great judgment will start in America. The Lord will gather his elect, the holy angels, Michael with them. Then they're going to go to subjugate the rest of the nations. That's why it says, those to the sword, for the sword to death, those to death, those to the famine, so forth and so on. So the Lord said, I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease. Now, who is the most arrogant nation on this planet Earth? The Edomites. Esau, Edom, the Edomites, starting with the small hats. They are the most arrogant people on this planet Earth because of their pride. You see, this is what white supremacy has given them, this arrogancy, this proudness, this lofty look. So the Lord said, I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. So who are the most terrible out of the Edomites? Amalek, the Amalekites, the small hats. Those people that call themselves Israelis. The Lord says he's going to lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of a fir. And what man is that? That's the elect men of the children of Israel. It says, therefore will I shake the heavens. All praises to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And the earth shall remove out of her place. What's going to cause that? Initially, the intercontinental ballistic missiles that will be fired between the Russians and their allies and America and their allies. The Lord says he's going to cause the heavens to shake, and the earth shall remove out of her place. Tectonic plates are going to create massive earthquakes from these nuclear strikes. America will be hit. Israel will be hit. I said before, the other countries that possess nuclear weapons are possible targets. Russia, more likely, will be hit. Great Britain, more likely, will be hit. France, more likely, will be hit. Because they all possess nuclear weapons. China, more likely, will be hit. They possess nuclear weapons. But the countries that we know for certain are going to be Israel and America, because those two countries are spelled out in Jeremiah, speaking about them being hit, and in Ezekiel. It says, therefore will I shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place in the wrath of the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger. And it shall be as a chased roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people. Now that's a natural instinct, you know. When all hell breaks loose, you turn to your own ilk, people of your own ilk, of your tribe. And flee everyone into his own land. Man, that's going to be It's going to be the greatest day this world is ever going to witness. Everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword, because countries are going to be allied with countries. This is what I'm saying. Other countries are potential targets because they're going to be allied with certain countries. And remember, even the NATO allies are going to turn on America in the midst of this war. They're going to burn the whore with fire. Remember in Revelation 17, it speaks about the beast, which are the European countries that make up the NATO allies, are going to burn the whore with fire. As you can see, subtitled The Doom of Babylon, the same Babylon that we're speaking about in Isaiah 13. The victory of the Lamb. And this is it here, Revelation 17, verse 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, the European Union, the European nations, these shall hate the whore. Who is the whore? The whore is the United States of America, Babylon the Great, and shall make her desolate and naked. The same thing that we're reading in Isaiah 13. The Lord says going to make the whole land desolate and complete desolate and naked, right? John the Revelator is telling the same thing. And shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. What fire is that? That's the fire that's going to come from the nuclear missiles. And remember, in the laws for, the laws for a whore is to burn her with fire, right? Is it for a whore? Yeah. This is it here. Remember, right? This is why America's going to be burned with fire. This is why it's referred to as the whore. Always remember this. This is Leviticus chapter 21, verse 9. And the daughter of any priest, if she profane herself by playing the whore, she profanes her father, she will be burnt with fire. Hence, why it's symbolically, literally telling you the same thing that's going to happen to America. Revelation 17 and 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, which is America, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. That's the righteous judgment. America is the whore that the Bible speaks of, holding the cup of abominations. That's the place of filth, abominations in every way. Immorality, corruption. So the same judgment in the laws for a whore, for an actual whore, a woman who plays a whore and profanes her father, she shall be burnt with fire, is the same judgment that's coming on America. Because America is symbolically known as the whore. So her judgment is the same judgment that you would give to an actual whore, a woman who plays the whore. That's the law in Israel, would be burned with fire. Same judgment, just so you know. So the 10 horns is the United States, is the European Union, which is Saurus upon the beast. The beast is the EU and NATO, right? They're going to burn, they shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Just so you can see. That's why she's going to be burnt with fire. That fire is going to come in the form, first and foremost, intercontinental ballistic missiles, nuclear missiles, and then the Lord himself, Yahushua, is going to complete the destruction of America with fire. Fire that's going to come from the laser beams of the chariot that the Lord himself, Yahushua, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, will be traveling in. So it says here, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, right? And everyone that is joined unto her, unto them shall fall by the sword. Their children also shall be what? Dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled and their wives ravished, because they're going to be absolute pandemonium, hell, Once they know those missiles are on the way, once the first missile hits, there's going to be absolute pandemonium and hell going on in America. This is why we speak about Jacob's trouble, the tribulation. It's going to lead us right into the war of Armageddon. And you know, once people think, well, that's it, this is the end. Once they know to themselves, this is the end, the missiles are on their way, one missile's hit Chicago or whatever, they become even more savage, more ruthless, more wicked, more merciless. People just lose it once they know that that's it, that's the end game. So it says, Babylon will fall to the Medes. Who are the Medes? The Medes are the Russians. The Medes are these guys here, man. The land that Russia is in today, that's known as Russia. Before it was known as Russia, it was also known as the land of the Medes. Not all of it, but parts of it was known as the land of the Medes. Before that, it was known as the land of Gog, Magog. That's what it was known before that. Gog, the land of Magog. After that, at some point, before the Persian and the Medes Empire became an empire under Darius and Cyrus, it was known as the land of the Medes. So when we go back to Isaiah, it says, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them. That's what you see happening now. The Medes, the Russians, are being stirred up against who? Against America, Babylon the Great, which shall not regard silver. And as for gold, they shall not delight in it. This is what we call the point of no return. No amount of bargaining with them is going to change the matter. None. No amount of bargaining. Let's grab that precept there. Brother David, Jeremiah 50 verse 43. The king of Babylon, the United States of America, has heard the report of them, the Medes, the missiles that are coming, and his hands are waxed feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs of a woman in travail. That's the day we're looking forward to. So the king of Babylon will be whatever president's in charge, and we believe it's going to come under Trump. In the spirit, Lord willing. We don't know for certain, but we believe in the spirit. These events are going to take place under President Trump. Lord willing, he's the last president of the United States of America. Just to know that much would please my heart. To know that he's the last president of the United States of America, Donald Trump. Oh, Lord, 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 Lord. So when it says there, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. There's no getting yourself, bargaining yourself out of this. Their bows also shall dash the young men into pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. So what are their bows or what are their eyes? The brother's got it here, Zechariah 14 and 12, Brother Kasad Bakaya. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes, should have got the rest of it, brother, shall consume away. I think it says in their sockets. Their flesh shall consume away in their feet and their eyes. That's Zechariah 14 and 12, innit? And their eyes shall consume away in their holes. I always say their sockets. This is it here. And their eyes shall consume away in their holes. And their tongue, you didn't put the rest of it up, bro. Shalom to you anyway. And their tongues shall consume away in their mouth. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from the Lord Yahweh shall be among them, and they shall lay hold every one on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. Like I said, once they reach that point of no return, your neighbor shall look upon your neighbor, and whatever he was wishing to do to you, right? When he was sitting comfortable in his yard, he's going to come and do it now because he knows that's it. There's no police coming to arrest him. There's not going to be no more courtrooms, no trial, no jury, no police. It's literally dog eat dog. People are going to rise up against each other in Babylon and commit the most wickedest acts, things that it's going to be like The Purge, the movie of The Purge, when all hell breaks loose. And this is what we say, during Jacob's trouble is going to be like the movie Purge, which is going to lead us into the war of Armageddon. This is why it says here, their bows shall dash the young men into pieces, which are the missiles. They shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb, the pregnant woman, and their eye shall not spare children. And Babylon, the United States of America, the glory of the kingdoms, everyone worships it, the beauty of the Chaldeans' excellency, shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. That's its destiny. That's its destiny. Total desolation. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. So if you want to know if this is talking about ancient Babylon, which we know today as to be Iraq, it's not, because Iraq is inhabited with over 20-30 million people. This ain't talking about ancient Babylon. This ain't talking about the ancient Median Empire coming up against ancient Babylon. This is talking about a place in the future that's going to be known as Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, and another place that would have been known as the Medes. This is a future end days prophecy. These are the last days prophecies that we are breaking down here. It shall never be inhabited. Iraq is inhabited by 30 million people. The prophecy says, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Well, generation after generation after generation has been living in Iraq. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, where the Arabs are living in Iraq. Arabs are living in Iraq today. Neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. All of this is happening in Iraq. But the wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there, and the wild beasts of the island shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant palaces, and her time is near to come. This is the time. And her days shall not be prolonged. That's the beauty. That's why we pray Trump is the last president, because the Most High promised her days shall not be prolonged. So hopefully, when they reach their 250-year celebration, this is what we was reading here. And the wild beasts of the island shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant palaces, and her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. So the scripture says, it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation, neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. Arabs live in Iraq, which was ancient Babylon. Shepherds are gathering their sheep, which is in ancient Babylon. Generation to generation has been living in there. Over 20 to 30 million people live in Iraq. So we know it's not talking about Iraq, because this place is going to be overthrown like Sodom and Gomorrah. And this place is considered the glory of the kingdoms. Iraq is not considered the glory of any kingdoms. So it's not talking about ancient Babylon. It's not talking about Iraq today. This is talking about another place in the future that has been identified as the United States of America, Babylon the Great. The word Babylon means confusion. There's no other place on this planet that represents confusion more than America, Babylon the Great. Simple as that. No other place that represents confusion. This is what it says. Her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. Verse 22. And that's the beauty of it all. All praises and glory. All praises and glory. So anyway, I'm going to finish it there. We just hit the hour mark. I pray you're edified. As always, I want to give all the praises and the glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and to his only begotten Son, Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone. As I always say, keep praying, keep safe, repent, and hold on to this truth. All praise and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'asham, Rakah, Kodash. Shalom, shalom, shalom. And I pray you were edified. And for the few sisters that may have tuned in, shalom to you as always. We're nearly there, family. We're nearly there. I pray Trump is the last man, but we're nearly there. All praises.